Hello and welcome again. We're back on another art jam, and thought today we could have another crack at trying to do some armour. So I tried, I think 2 days ago, or 1 day ago it says. Yeah, we tried some like elven armour here. But I did really have a different kind of, well, this did go well, I had kind of a different vibe in mind, so I'm going to see if we can pull that off today. I might just do a bit of a headshot. But yeah, it's kind of, I really want something with a lot of, more of a cast iron look to the armour, I think, maybe? I don't know, you can still go with shiny chrome. Yeah, it's really the materials I want to play with, but also this fantasy armour design with lots of layers. Still going to try and design using just a silhouette, which is what I'm kind of doing here, even though I am using line. Just trying to frame it, really. Right then. I want to go kind of anime with it too, and like I say, loads of colour abstraction. You know, with the kind of that nose. I don't know. I might make it a bit larger so we've got a few more pixels, because I don't know if I'm going to end up spending the lion's share of the time on this figure. Got about an hour and a half here, I think. Okay, I'm just trying to think of the mental image I had here. I had the idea of these kinds of like triangle gaps in the shoulders. Hold 1 second, excuse me. Sorry about that, yeah, I had to sneeze. But yeah, sort of these kind of like interlocking plates like this. I want it to be that kind of over the top armor. I think that's why kind of an anime style might work for this. Yeah, how does that look? I think we got that. I need to see how that back one sort of wraps around. I think it's something like that. Oh, sorry. My allergies are getting me like crazy. I always start streaming again in the summer, so I'm constantly sneezing during the streams. Okay then. Yeah, I think that is pretty much what I had in mind. That shoulder pattern. The area that I always kind of struggle to figure out is right where the neck meets the armour, especially because really I'm often drawing people without the helmet on for whatever reason, and that would kind of complete the piece. So I always feel like I'm trying to design a socket for a plug that I'm not familiar with. Should we do some of those pinwheel things here? I don't know what the actual name of them is. Why are they always a circle? Has no one ever done them in kind of an oval shape like that? I don't think that fits here, but maybe we should give that a go at some point. Or even like a bit of a shell shape might work here. Something that meshes with the shape of the shoulder, maybe. Yeah, something like that. Maybe you can have another layer on it too. I don't know why I always instinctively start in line, especially when I tend to do better starting with colour. But I think for an armour design it probably makes sense. Yeah, like I say, I can't wait till we start doing some actual studies, like some more practice type stuff on this channel. Give me a good excuse to actually really learn some stuff like anatomy and armour design, and hairstyles would be good too, actually. There you go, maybe I'm not too bad at this anime stuff. I haven't, I don't know, I've tried it a little bit in the past. It's definitely not my sort of direction. I just love, I love going for realism too much. But especially when it's kind of mixed, like it is here, I think it can work out. Yeah, there's going to be like a big elbow there, I suppose. And then the gauntlets down here. We might not get down to painting that far down anyway. I'm just going to focus on the top half. Make it a bit of a material study if we can. Just going to add a bit more of a tilt that way on his armour, just to match this shoulder. You see, we can see the inside of that shoulder, but then this shoulder is just a line on the edge. It's because he's slightly rotated this way. So I just want to capture that in the actual breastplate itself, if I can. Not sure quite how. Probably be easier to do in the paint. Push this forwards a little bit too, maybe. Right then, let's start getting some colour in. And I don't typically use any layers, only when it sort of makes something convenient, like if there's a character on a background, obviously then. But I don't use them as part of my actual painting process, so sometimes I'll separate the line work from the painting as well, but here I'm just going to stay on one layer just for simplicity. Just thinking about some of these colours, just yeah, we really want the kind of oil spill looking colour abstraction here. If we can get it, I think pale, really pale skin is going to work best for that. Should we have some kind of stippled light as well? The light doesn't have to be completely regular. That's going to be chainmail down there, I suppose. Yeah, we're just going in with some really wild colours here then. See how that blue works. I think the blue can work, but the light needs to be even paler. And then we can sneak quite a lot of colour abstraction in that really pale white as well, because it's so pale. Just figuring out how to do the shadow on this nose. I think it's kind of like that shape, isn't it? Like a diamond shape. It would usually be. And look how drastic that light and shadow mixture is. And then, like I say, the light might be a bit stippled even, so there might be like, you know, part of his face that has shadow over it. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Gonna have quite light ashen hair too, maybe. Oh, might have been close. I'm gonna go for like a really pale blue, even paler, something like that. We should, something we can do kind of early is just put the shadow in behind the hair as well. The more you can do to make it look right to yourself early, I find the better. I find that's quite a useful technique, because a lot of painting is going, you know, it's a lot of painting for imagination, at least, I should say, is, you know, saying, oh, I think this sort of looks like that, so I'm going to exaggerate what I see. That's like literally most of the process. Looking pretty good so far though. I've got to do this chainmail now. I don't know though. Maybe I will just make his neck going into like a black void. That work? I can certainly go. I can say that this is going to be pretty much jet black back here. That's just a hole leading into the armor, basically. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be very effective. But then we should do just a bit of light. If he is wearing chainmail, there will still be just a bit of light hitting his neck and his shoulders. Something like that. You might not be able to see that on stream anyway because it's so subtle. I haven't done a very good job of it anyway, so it's probably for the best. Something like that. I might close that collar up on him, maybe in a similar way to how we did it on that like Elven armor from day before yesterday. Okay, then let's figure this armor out. It's going to be fairly dark. It's going to be in the blues, but I want to incorporate some yellows if we can. It's going to be kind of cast irony, or yeah, let's have it be kind of cast iron like. So yeah, it's going to be really in the darker colours. We need to figure out kind of a shadow value for it and a light value. They need to be quite high contrast for it to look kind of reflective. Or at least metallic. Yeah, something like that. So we've got kind of a 3-colour combo we've just developed there on that part of the breastplate. And we can sort of spread that around. Not sure exactly where the light's coming from yet. It's just the light on his face that we've got so far. Yeah, I think we picked the right colours here. Maybe we could get a bit more saturated with blue in the shadows. But I've kind of left it grey so we can do some colour abstraction, and that'll add the colourfulness to our armour so it doesn't look just black and white, right? I think sometimes when you want to add a lot of colour abstraction in, it's best to create the conditions that work for that first. So kind of greyish, a greyish painting does work for that. Although we'll probably filter this and play with the contrast and the saturation. We'll see what we can do for that before we go into adding the colour abstraction, which will be kind of a separate layer. Should we just I don't know about the shape of these things. Yeah, I'll keep it in that sort of shape, I guess. See, we're starting to kind of build it in. It's very posterized at the moment. as I've said in the past, it's the high contrast that makes things look reflective. And even higher contrast, especially around in darker shadows, that makes things look metallic. So we're going to try and use that. We want this to look reflective and metallic, but we still do want it to look like it's got a satin finish. So it's kind of like half and half. It's tough. I don't know. I guess a lot of where I find that the things that I have to add to my artwork, a lot of it is in the materials. It's just a natural acclimation, or whatever it would be called. I naturally chase these kind of strange materials in my artwork, so. I think that's where a lot of the novelty will come from. Hey, we got our first visitor. Give him a smiley face. Right. Hello, Lunamax. Are you the person who just joined? No. Yeah, we got a visitor on the canvas, and we got a visitor on the stream. That's great. Yeah, we're just trying to do a bit of an attempt at anime sort of style today, which is unusual for me. See how well I can pull it off. Ah, I see. No, you've missed nothing at all. Just been warming up for the morning. Feel like we painted yesterday and the day before as well, so I feel like we've really shaken the rust off now. Got good feeling about this painting here. We're about to fill it up with a lot of colour abstraction, so I'm going to try and make it look like some of these materials are like oil spill effect, pearlescent. See how that goes. That's why we're keeping it kind of almost black and white here. We're going to have kind of like cast iron armour. I'll see how the anime look goes. Maybe if I like it, I'll get a bit of an anime universe together. Okay, then let's add some early highlights. Oh, the highlight's going to be tough here. This is why I could do with a noise brush. There's one other kind of brush that I could have. It's going to be a noise brush. But then I use two brushes instead of just one. It's too much for my brain to handle. That would be. But no, a noise brush would be really good. I feel like just for especially for highlights. I'd like to do kind of a stippled highlight on this armour to make it look like it kind of has lots of really small bumps on it. I don't know how to describe it. Kind of like the patina that cast iron sometimes gets on it. Just here to make this armour look reflective. And I should probably do this more often. I do it often enough. We can do like a little material ball here, so you know, I'm thinking of the darkest areas. The light's kind of hitting right, you know, right at the centre of that point there. And now I'm just starting to trickle in some little bits of highlights onto there. And then we'll smooth this all out and add some much sharper highlights. It's kind of the general step-by-step plan for especially for reflective and glossy materials, but it can be applied to anything really. We want to really get to the point where it feels like we're sculpting like clay. Like that's when I'm kind of in my flow state. I think we can get to that pretty easily on this chest plate here, so I'm going to give it a go. Kind of panel beat it into something that looks close. And you can tip it over a certain point when it really starts to feel more like you're just editing something that already exists, rather than trying to actually you know, make so many decisions that come in completely new design. It's hard to explain. It's all about the feels, how it feels to paint. Looking for a certain feeling of painting in 3D, if I had to describe it. Okay then, let's come back to the face a little bit, and then I might try using the filters and getting a little bit of a little bit more contrast in. This is just a basic face that we're drawing on as well at the moment. I'm just using pretty much a black pen, so we'll actually go in and make this all look 3D and try and put some detail in it. Accentuate these shadows on the hair just a little bit more where we can. Here we're just using the blur brush as well to make some of these shadows look a bit softer. One of the most key pieces of information is the edges of the shadows. And just before we play with the filters, I do want to get a feeling of having all the values in there, so I'm going to make sure we get some of the occlusion here in the face. The biggest area of occlusion in the face is often this inside of the eye socket here. Maybe where the nose contacts the face, around there. Leave that one out. Right, let's see what we can do with this contrast. It might not be needed, or it might be a little bit too early even. We'll see how bright the contrast works for it. Out there maybe? A little bit less, I think. Yeah, we'll leave it there. I want to try and up the contrast, the saturation, sorry, just a tiny bit too. Wrong one. There we go. Yeah, there you go. It will make it a little bit harder for us to add the colour abstraction in, I think, but this is part of the colour abstraction, the global colour abstraction. See those purples in the faces mixing with the yellows? It's basically like almost polar opposites we've got mixing together there, so it's a good start. You have kind of like meta color abstraction, like the larger blocking, like these shadows on the face, but we'll have, like I say, especially, it really is kind of like the oil stick effect, but then you have random variations within each area. So I'm doing it crudely here, but you know, all of this will be a different collage of colors that all, when you zoom out, join together to make something that is this very pale yellow, green, or whatever it is. His cheek's a bit overexposed, I feel like. You can even add some early highlights in here. I don't know why, I just love having the highlights in early. It's always the thing that that you're supposed to add last, but I just love adding them in early. Wow, you can see we got the face so bright that you can barely even see the highlights. I think we can sneak a highlight there. No, it doesn't look quite right. It doesn't look quite right. Let's get some highlights on the armour then. Held it off long enough as well. We go for super duper bright green. I notice sometimes painting on this magma, everything gets compressed. I kind of like the grainy compressed look, but it's interesting how you'll be painting and then you'll notice that this grain's kind of been applied. I guess that's something they do to make it work on the internet. Okay, then we got to come up with some nice, interesting shapes here. Have a look at what we was doing. Some reflect. Yeah, it was on this. I feel like I got some nice soupy shapes on this one. Really glossy. We didn't do as much reflective stuff on here except for the glass. But yeah, we want to maybe on the armor use some of this sort of glossy pin lights like we got on this spaceship yesterday. Alright, these are kind of like stamped metal. You can see I haven't really done much of the design of this one, but that's where suggestion comes in, because I can just imagine where, see these are like this, it's like this free spike pattern. I can just imagine where that middle spike will be. And suggest it using the highlights. It's all just getting it to look right to yourself, like I say. Especially when you end up painting by feel more later on in the work. The more you've done to not confuse yourself by making your artwork look like something else, something that it's not. It's super hard to explain. I wish I had a better analogy for that. We should probably add some more details to the armor as well, because I noticed that it's just, especially the breastplate, it's just a big flat, you know, really putty looking thing. So sort of yeah, I don't know, I did have a quick look the other day at just some armor on Google Images to try and get some inspiration. I've been thinking about it lately. We need to do some I need to figure out how to get a format where I can do some practice from some reference on this channel. I don't know if I'd make that a stream or... that doesn't look quite right. Maybe just some engraved patterning like that. Can go all the way up. It's definitely going to be something like that. You can see what we're doing right now is we're just embossing, so you can see I've basically drawn it on as a dark line, but then if we do a light line on top of that, really basic rule, it'll look embossed right. It'll look like a line that's actually poking out of the armour. It's just a very crude demo of it, but that's kind of what we're going to go for. It's something that should probably be done a little bit later, thinking about it though. I just feel like I should at least do the impression of it to make it exist. I think that's the principle that I'm probably trying to describe, is making things exist before working on them and making them actually look good, right? And using suggestion and half doing things, that does make them exist. And if they exist visually, then that helps you to make decisions about the piece when you zoom out a lot easier. When you can take all of the context into account. Some dark areas in these armpits. They're going to be like the darkest area, aren't they? Okay, so it's starting to pop out though. It's starting to pop out. It's starting to become 3D. I feel like the breastplate's maybe too large and wide though. Maybe try shrinking it down a little. Making more of this arm visible here. No, cut off too much there. But it's better to cut off a little bit too much sometimes, because I find that slowly trying to revise a mistake little by little, especially in digital where you can be heavy-handed and just press Ctrl Z, sometimes you'll end up a lot more of the time not fixing the problem, because you'll think that you're off by 5mm, but you're off by, 5 meters. Just love painting with that eraser. We should have a bit more shadow there. Yeah, the kind of armor pectoral. I don't know, it looks strange though. The armor looks a little bit lopsided at the moment. It's kind of putting me off. Let's see if we can figure it out. Should add some Fresnel effect as well to the edges, that'll help. It's just going to literally be brighter on the edges. Whenever you've got these kind of organic rounded shapes that are somewhat glossy or reflective, you're going to get just, it's going to be just a bit brighter on the edges, or at least it's not going to be able to achieve quite as dark as the middle. Especially on these organic rounded shapes. It's because it makes such a sharp horizon right at the edges. Oh, paint with the wrong brush. You want to be kind of sparing in the shadow there. He's doing kind of an ooh. It's like an oof face. Maximum oof. Ooh. Gotta find just the right blur. The nose shadows are the most difficult, just in general, I think, Just a tough thing to master. going to be some occlusion right back here in the hair. So you see I've grabbed, literally just colour picker, grabbed the occlusion shadow from here. Just put some of it back here in this little crevice behind the, between the face and that hair. But I don't want to get rid of too much of this nice purple. The face is still very simplistic. We're going to see just how much detail we can go into today. Still got about an hour. I don't know. I'm gonna have to close the collar up on the armor because I don't know if I'll ever figure out how to do shoulders inside of armor. It just always looks strange. You shouldn't be able to see people's shoulders. Kind of painted over half of his jaw here as well. But yeah, we'll figure out some kind of metal, some way to close the metal up. Maybe using a couple of like layers, something like that. Maybe that's why I often do end up designing these kind of layers in armor. It's just always trying to creep up on the neck somehow. I should do some armor designs where they are wearing the helmet at some point maybe. See, it just looks right. Just creeps up, looks frames the face better. I feel like we just do two layers like that. Yeah, it's really starting to pop out now. So we're just slowly building it together. Oh, sorry, my mouse is going crazy on the stream again. I need to, I don't know if I can change the setting while streaming. I'll try and remind myself to do it afterwards, so next time it's not jumping everywhere. But yeah, this is starting to get really satisfying. We're reaching a nice point in this painting. We're out of the stage of confusion. Or just coming out of it anyway. The search, we're just finishing the search. Don't know about seeing what some colour abstraction looks like. A little bit early. Let's give it a go. I'm trying to add some really... I'm on the eraser, of course I am. Yeah, just adding some really crazy colours in there. I feel like adding some really purples and reds in the shadows. It's a bit tough to do colour abstraction with this colour picker. It'd be nice, nice to get a big one that compares the current colour that you have to the one that you're mixing. Really kind of necessary for colour abstraction actually, but we're going to see how we can get on with it. Hoping that the dev team continues to upgrade this software. Oh yeah, that's a nice blue, isn't it? Damn. You see, that is the trick with colour abstraction. You find like a colour like that, there'll always be some kind of dynamic you can use. And you'll find colours like that, and then you just try and sneak them into the other areas where they might fit. Like I feel like that blue might. You're just trying to match the value, so it doesn't go too much darker or lighter, but it does change colour. And it doesn't change colour too obviously to look weird, you know? So it's really a delicate balance. And the more... You'll find a blue like this that you can kind of sneak into loads of these values in the armour. I can sneak it down there even maybe. But what you want to do then is find its complementary. So it's going to be like... you want to find like an orange, or it's probably going to be more like this sort of pink or purple, whatever you want to call it. To kind of balance it out. And if you use an equal amount of both, the armour will still look overall blue. The exact same shade of kind of blue when you zoom out. But it does something internally in your brain. It makes the picture look better because it looks more colourful than it is. It's more colourful the deeper you look into it. Honestly, one of the biggest secrets in like the ultra advanced artwork that you see. Some of these digital artists that do really crazy stuff that just looks better than a camera could ever take a picture of. A lot of the time, that is colour abstraction. And just make your work look really kind of mystical, especially for like magic or futuristic stuff. Works great. But even in oil paintings, you see you know, colour abstraction being used far back. It's just the kind of colour abstraction that the ways that you use it, you know, especially in digital. Some of the techniques that you can do, very interesting. Like I say, you're just trying to get it to not look obvious. You're really trying to hide the extra colours in there so that you don't see them. And you can see that this armour's starting to look better already. It's nowhere near like done, but even adding the colour abstraction in this early stage, it starts to make it look better in a way that's hard for the audience to pin down even why it looks better, you know. That's why I say it's kind of it works really well in kind of like a mystical setting. One of the biggest secrets, like I say, in like ultra high level digital illustration and imaginative realism. But also in oil painting, like I say, things like that. Colour abstraction's everywhere. But man, the digital artists, you can just take it so far in digital. Maybe it's starting to get a bit too brave here with some of the changes I make. I don't want to make it look strange and go overboard. You see, it keeps zooming out when I do it as well, because like I say, it's part of me trying to see if I've made it look too obvious. Sneakily trying to hide extra colours into the dynamic. Not sure what we're going to do with the face. Feels like the contrast just doesn't quite work at the moment. Try and make this right side of the face just a bit darker in general. I think that might help. Yeah, it does. Yeah, there you go. We really want a realistic feeling. So getting the lighting right is super important. Like I say, even the face in this right now isn't fully how it's going to be. We can maybe make this larger and have a few more pixels as well. How many people have joined today? I think it really depends on the look of the draw with these art jams. Sometimes they're flooded with loads of people. A lot of time they're just like this. See how big the pixels are now. I'm just thinking about stuff like this eye, if I'm going to want to go into more detail with this eye, and we have got some more time. We've got about 40 minutes still. Ooh. No, we'll keep it this size. We'll keep it this size because I don't think I'm going to get time to go that deep yet anyway. And maybe if we finish this off and add a bunch more detail into it someday, we'll give it some more pixels too. Damn, just look what the colour does to it though when you sneak in these extra colours. Try some purples in here maybe. Especially there. And that's how you can make something that looks boring, almost black and white, almost monotone. You can get it and you can make it look, you know, like an explosion of colour, while still maintaining the original look, which is really interesting. Going into some high contrast stuff now. Really trying to tease out the realism if I can. I don't know how much anatomy should be mirrored on this, like Roman armor style. Probably going to try and keep it minimal. And like I say, we'll try and put some patterning on the armor maybe at some point. I don't know if we do this session, but maybe we'll try painting some patterned armor next time. I'm not sure. One thing's for sure, I'll probably never be able to stop myself from trying to paint fantasy armor, so we'll go for everything. We'll try everything we can. But yeah, I do like. I think that's where some of my painting method struggles, though. That's one of the weaknesses, is when it comes to really fine patterns, specific patterns, especially when the patterns are high contrast between two high contrast values. You can't simplify that in the ways that I often use. So I'd like to see if I can strengthen that by testing it. It might be good to do first from, like I was saying earlier, maybe we spend some sessions and I'll figure out how we can do maybe some YouTube episodes or some streams where I can kind of beef up my visual library, paint some stuff from reference, you know. So I've probably got, I really haven't got like a crazy amount of experience from reference, like in my portfolio as a whole, honestly, in my experience as a whole. I've always been obsessed with creating images that don't exist, right? That's almost been the point of art for me, especially of digital art. You know, as long as I've been painting, what's the point of making an image of something that already does exist, right? And I do enjoy that now, and I see where it fits in my model of art, which is in traditional. Like, I like painting from reference in traditional mediums. So like, I like drawing portraits or going out and doing plein air painting, you know, painting outdoors, stuff like that. And that's when I feel like painting from life is when it's most enjoyable, painting from reference. I almost really find myself lately struggling to, when I do try and draw from like a picture or something, even not enjoying it as much, because drawing from life is just so much more satisfying. I'm gonna change the angle of this shoulder plate, because this is why I have a curse of always putting symmetry in my artwork. You know, you see these three, and this one is slightly different to that one as well. So it's just like, oh, I don't know. Can never get the symmetry that I need. Yeah, you see the 3 spikes on this one are wider, but also the spikes should kind of point in the middle of the blades. So we didn't have that when that one was going over that way. So we can fix that. You just end up doing a lot of fixes when you try and make things symmetrical. How do we widen these spikes? I think we should widen them going downwards. So this one should be further down there. That's the eraser. Absolutely love painting with the eraser. Right, there we go. Yeah, something like that. This would be extremely heavy armor in real life. That's why I quite like fantasy armor, but there is some really interesting actual real life designs of armor. We'll definitely figure out how to do some content around painting from reference. I'm just not sure what to use as a reference library where I won't get sued or something. Reckon I get unlimited pictures of really cool armor. One option would be AI, but I really just don't want to go anywhere near AI with the channel, to be honest with you. Not that I have that much of a problem with using AI as reference. I'd just rather find real reference for it. Might be good at a glance though. See what kind of fantasy armor tropes it comes up with. Ooh. Man, yeah, I've made the bright parts of the face so bright and overexposed that it's kind of hard to put any highlights in it. I don't know if that's a bad thing yet. I don't often go with the overexposed look. Right then, let's play with some of these filters, because you'll see that you can kind of get away with more, especially with repeated use of these filters. You can actually get away with more colour abstraction. We've just only started with the colour abstraction really, so there's not much of it in there, but we'll look at what parts do exist. I don't think we're going to get away with much, to be honest, with this filter here, with the brightness and contrast. I'm going to test it out nonetheless and see what we get from it. Yeah, it's true. I'm not going far with that. We can try the saturation maybe. We'll just see where it fits. We want super saturated. I want this to be like really almost like pop looking. Yeah, you see that helped the armor out a lot. And that colour abstraction that we did add, these different colours, it juices them up, but because it juices all of the colours up, including the base ones in the armour, they all go up at the same time, and therefore they're all still in the right kind of relations to each other. Oh, you can still see a bit of the background through this button here. See if we can get rid of that. I said this before, but I used to have my graphics tablet. I used to have it set up so it just did like a small section, you know, from one side to the other. There's only a tiny postage, or more like sticky note size square in the middle of my screen that it controlled. I don't do that anymore because it's easier to film like this, but you see, doing these really fine lines in the neck that require you to move your brush in every direction. Super hand cramp inducing. I do recommend doing that if you get hand cramp easily from doing this. Just have it control a smaller area and you can do such fine lines in that tiny area. Try and give the eyes just a bit more detail then. And put some blue in them. That's the eraser. I feel like that's too much detail in a small area. Actually, I'll take it back. You gotta roll the detail out slowly. That's one of the biggest things in art, and it's the pitfall that you'll always be having to make a conscious effort to. It's the contrast and detail management pitfall. Gotta keep it similar. Can't have like just the eye be super detailed or super contrast. You can see I have managed to still sneak detail into the eye as I was saying that, but I've lowered the contrast a lot. So they're more cloudy, and even then I'm just kind of barely getting away with that, honestly. I really like that we went with these kind of super violet shadows on the face here. I think it works well, especially with the yellow. It's exactly the sort of colour abstraction I meant. I haven't managed to sneak any of the micro colour abstraction into the face like we have with the armour though. You see, we've done all the little blotches in the armour. The armour didn't have much macro colour abstraction though, to be honest, which I kind of probably should have put something into the armour. I'm not sure. Let's see if we can get the micro abstraction in the face. I feel like it might not need it because it has so much macro abstraction, but we'll see. I'm going to try and sneak some blue into the shadow and just see if I can get it there without it being noticeable. Slip it in under the radar. Something like that. I'm going to use the blur brush to kind of blend that in a little bit as well, so you can't see where the blue and the purple meet. Yeah, you see? That is how you do micro color abstraction. Let's try up here, because it's so close to white, we might not get away with much. And I think there it actually is, yeah, like really close to white there. We do a bit of a highlight on the tip of the nose. Real quick, actually, speaking of. It should just be a bit brighter there. Oof. Sorry, I've gone on a bit of a tangent here. I was supposed to be doing a bit of micro color abstraction on the face, wasn't I? And I'm thinking about how it's going to look in the thumbnail. Actually, speaking of, I haven't changed the thumbnail for today, have I? So I think... it doesn't matter. I don't know what it's a picture of. It's a picture of whatever we painted yesterday. Spaceship. I haven't even updated the title, actually. Oh my god. Amateur. There you go. The title is now Fantasy Armour, which is kind of what we're trying to paint today. Like I say, mainly because we painted... oh no, this was yesterday's one. I was thinking this one. This is why we're painting Armour today. This one went well, but didn't go in the style that I thought it would. Although this is a pretty nice style. I think I'm going to explore this a bit more. It's really kind of angelic, isn't it? That sort of... that's more pearlescent, I would say, that kind of armour, than it is colour abstraction. But yeah. This one definitely, I think, still something missing about the face. I don't know if it is just because it's anime and I'm not used to painting anime, but something's missing that I can't put my finger on. Maybe it is the micro colour abstraction. Let's give it a go, let's give it a go. Can we fit some in the forehead? Let me smooth out this forehead first. It's got some weird purples in it. I find things that look smooth when you zoom in as well. You zoom out then, or you see it smaller in a smaller image, and you realise the roughness of the image gets exaggerated when you shrink it sometimes. I'm just going to make an effort to smooth this a little bit before we try and sneak some abstraction in. This micro colour abstraction, it really is like kind of the last step in the process. Could do with an ear back there, I think. I'm not sure if he's quite the right angle for us to see his ear. Let's give it a go. Do we give him nostrils? Are you supposed to give nostrils to anime? I don't know. I don't know. Let's leave him without nostrils. Ultra stylized. We could do kind of the reflection of their eyelashes as well on their cheek like that. I think maybe doing the bottom eyelid should be enough. Does that look right? I don't know. I don't know if we should do the bottom eyelid even. We'll figure it out. Trial and error. Everything's trial and error. Yeah, I think that does look a little bit better. Like I say, it just feels like something missing from the face. Might be that I haven't painted the whites of the eyes in yet as well. It's possible. It's going to be the same kind of purple, I feel like. It's basically just going to be black. starting, what is it? Starting to mess about with the eyes at the end of a painting. It's never a good sign. You can get stuck doing it forever, trying to make tiny little changes to the eyes, making them a little bit more open or what have you. I'm sure most artists have been stuck in that loop at one point or another. We're going to try and push through it. It's because this one's pushed so far against that inside edge. I thought that would be basically black there as well, but I don't think it's going to be. Yeah, the face does look better for it though. Try a little squabble with the values here. I'm going to try and do some really thin brush strokes here and make it look maybe even a bit more detailed than it actually is. I think we can get away with it at this stage in the painting. That's kind of like detail abstraction. Actually, you know, getting away with you shouldn't often mix, you know, really high detail with really low detail in a painting. It just doesn't work right for the contrast, like we were saying earlier. But I think sometimes, you know, sometimes if you use the right technique, you can maybe skip that basic fundamental. A little bit like here, what I'm doing with the hair. This is a very, very thin, thinnest brush in the whole painting that I'm using right here. I think probably the only reason I can get away with it is because, it's on the face. If you distinguish kind of a more general area to have high detail, I think you can get away with it then. As long as it's controlled, you know. But yeah, detail management, it's a big concept in all of visual arts that I feel like gets skipped over a lot. And I think because a lot of those hair strands that I did, except for these ones right at the very edge, they're very low contrast, right? It's not really like black against white. I think you can get away with it. There's still something about it that doesn't look quite right to me about the face. That's what's kind of held me off from doing what I wanted to do, which is put some colour abstraction in it. But let's try the colour abstraction. I'm not sure if I'll be able to put my finger on it today. We'll see. Take a lot of trial and error to kind of get this face. I feel like maybe it feels like it's in a brighter room than the armour. Could I glaze over it a little bit darker and get away with it? See that? While it doesn't look as good, that does look more on the level that the armour is. And also, like I was saying earlier, I couldn't get any highlights on the face because it's so bright and overexposed. I mean, it's okay for it to be bright and overexposed, but the armour has to be too, if that's the case, which it's not. I kind of like the armour, so I'm going to favour that. I just got a random value that's just slightly darker than the face, basically. Slathering that on, or glazing that on, sorry, even. And now we should be able, yeah, put actual highlights. Yeah, that looks a bit more like it's in the same universe, doesn't it? feel like it would have been nice if we added like some kind of sharp blue light shining up from here as well. Could have maybe hit the face as well on some of these planes. Would have looked a little bit like that. Would have been a cool look. Always something you can add on later when you know how to do your lighting in kind of different passes. Your lighting and your shading in different passes. It's when you can really start to change the look of what you're painting as you're going through. There you go, that's not looking too bad. It looks almost kind of cyber. It might be a bit futuristic, or you know, a lot of cyberpunk stuff has these exact kind of pink neon values in, don't they? Like neon signs. Right, we're gonna do it. We're gonna put some micro color abstraction in the face here. I'm gonna try and sneak some green into the lighter areas of the face. I'm not sure exactly where to go first. I might try and put some green on the cheek here. So all I do is move the color checker just over to completely green, and then just try and find a green that I can sneak in there. See, that's not one that I can sneak in there because it's way too bright. And try and make it a little bit darker. Still doesn't quite fit. It's too saturated. There you go. You see that green? That green can just about live there. I ended up putting that in more like the mid-tones than in the bright where I wanted to put them. I don't know if that green will go away with being there either, to be honest with you. Yeah, just a little hint of it. Let's try it more in the bright area. Get this green in. I'm gonna get it in somewhere. Yeah, there you go. That fits a little better. Get away with just a bit of green here on the cheek. And you know, this is what is it? It makes it look more photorealistic as well when you add in color abstractions, because if you get a photograph taken by a camera and you take it, look how well that green fits in there, and you take it into Photoshop and you jack the saturation in that regular photograph just taken by your phone or whatever, you jack the saturation way up, what you'll see is that it all turns into all different, you know what I mean? Even a picture of someone's face turns into all purples and blues and greens and all different crazy colours when you jack the saturation up. And that's because that colour abstraction existed there in the photograph. All you've done is by turning up the saturation exactly how it would do it in this, you've revealed what the that the camera had, the colour abstraction that was inherent in the photo to begin with. So that's why using colour abstractions can make things look even more photorealistic. That looks crazy. It shows that we maybe haven't gone as far as we should have with the colour abstraction in the Armour, I feel like, looking at this extreme version of the saturation. Could maybe get away with putting a bit more saturation in the image in general, actually, now that we're just seeing as we're here. What if we put like a little bit more saturation in like that? Is that too far? I think that's a bit too far. Somewhere like that. Yeah, that's better. You'll see we'll probably do that. We do just a lot of these these filtering stages, and especially with color abstraction that helps, because it lets you work things. It's easier to do the color abstraction when it's a lower saturation, and then turn the saturation up a little bit, and you'll have a bit more of a foothold to do more crazy color saturation. Color abstraction. And that's a bit far. Yeah, it's just a tiny change, that one, but I do like it. We brought the brightness up a little bit again, but at least now the head and the body are of a similar brightness. Doesn't look like the face itself has like someone shining a really bright torch on it. Trying to give him a bit more of a chin. I think it went too dark towards the bottom of the face. Maybe I should have made his eyebrows grey like his hair. Try and sneak some more random colours into here. Try and get a blue into the bright side of the face. That looked pretty crazy. I think we need a brighter blue even. Yeah, that looks good. Maybe we could do like a wing pattern here. Something like that. Yeah, we'll see. For about 15 minutes. Yeah, I think that's a good idea for another time. I think we should have that engraved rather than embossed as well when we do actually. I was going to make it embossed then. Wouldn't have been the right way. Yeah, there's a lot of things for us to trial out and experiment with. Really, I have a lot of hours painting and stuff like that, but I just haven't like experimented or built up my visual library like I should have over the years. Kind of looking forward to getting onto that. Yeah, you can see how grainy this has become. See how grainy that is? And my natural brush isn't grainy like that. So that's happened as we've been painting. Like I say, I'm not really against it. I actually kind of like it because it makes it look more like a photograph. Because photographs are kind of grainy like that. No, it's interesting. I don't know if it does that. I doubt it, but I don't know if it does this compression on your personal work, or if it just does it in art jams. I'd assume it only does it in art jams. I'd be maybe a bit upset if it did it in your personal work, right? You don't want to just randomly compressing and lowering the quality of your personal work. In art jam's one thing. Still trying to paint with the eraser. I'll never learn. And then there's this where you tap the colour picker. It makes your brush permanently the colour picker. But yeah, there's a long way for this software to go. It has gone a long way. You know, I've I don't know when I first used this software, but you know, it was at least 5 or 6 years ago, I would think. So it has come a long way, but I think it's got a lot further to go. I think the biggest step, if they ever do it, I don't know if it's possible with the networking or how it's programmed, but if they can ever get it so 2 people can paint on one layer at the same time, that'll be like seriously revolutionary, I think. Not sure what, I'm sure there's a good reason why you can't right now, but if they can ever do that, that'd be a massive revolution. Then artists could literally collaborate on the same painting, you know, anywhere in the world. Trying to just sneak some random colours in here now. A bit of purple into that shadow and so on. We didn't add much colour abstraction in the hair, but we can fit that. Especially because it's white. Obviously white's quite impressionable, you can kind of put whatever colour you want into white. As long as you have like an even mix, like I say, around the colour palette, it should still look white when you zoom out overall, even if individual parts are different colours. It's like how a TV has pixels that are made of 3 different colours, and it's only when you step back, well, you know, they're very small, but it's only when you step back, so to speak, that the 3 colours blend together. And probably fit some crazy values in this hair because of its because it's so pale. Make it look really pearlescent. But yeah, that's what I love. Just love pearlescent materials. I love reflective and glossy materials. And I love colour abstraction, which colour abstraction is kind of it's very similar. It's not quite the same as pearlescent, but it's very similar. I like I don't know, the 2 types of colour abstraction like I've been talking about today. You know, the large colour abstraction and the smaller little blotches of different colours. Maybe that should have been the title of this today's stream. How much colour abstraction can we pump into one thing? See, the hair's all different colours now. It's just random. It's honestly like almost no thought. You could probably get, I mean, there probably is, I don't know, like a computer filter, just a basic dumb computer filter that can kind of colour abstract your image for you. It'd be interesting to know. But I think it has to be, I think it often has to be in line with the brush strokes as well to look right. Otherwise it does just look like, you know, it doesn't follow any logic. Like those brush strokes that I was doing kind of followed the hair, right? It made a lot more sense than if a computer just did it indiscriminately. I'm going to make it so it's not so dark in the eye sockets. I don't know why or at what point we decided to make it so dark in the eye sockets, but I'm going to reverse that a tiny bit. It's a little bit better. I'm going to let the side of the nose have just a little bit of light here too, I think. Yeah, there you go. I feel like this bottom portion of the face is still too bright somehow, but I'm not sure how to get the shadow in without creeping a big shadow in on the cheekbone. But I've already just erased that, I know. I can give him a bit more of a muzzle by doing that. But obviously that's just a crude show of it. I don't know. That's just contrast and detail management, that is. That's the tough part of it where, you know, there's no real technique that can help you. You just gotta find something that looks right for the face. I could thin the jaw out and then it wouldn't look like such a big pale area. Something like that. Probably look like. Looks a bit more like a female than a male now. She was meant to be a male. I never really like have an idea of the gender in mind normally. Sometimes I have a loose one, but then I don't care if it ends up looking one way or the other. I just exaggerate the features of whichever way it leans. But I want to keep this one as a male if I can. I feel like what it's missing, I think we're probably going to wrap up here now anyway, but what would be cool is some red. It needs something like that's bright red. Like if it had like a bright red kind of banner draping somewhere. I think that one looks really cool. Right then, yeah. I think that's been about an hour and a half. But in a couple of days I'll be back on because I've got some work. But for now, I'm going to sign out. Maybe we'll be on later today, but no promises. I'm going to sign out right here. It's been a really nice little session actually. This is probably going to be a painting that we'll pick up again at some point in time. We've got a lot of these art jams, building up a lot of these little paintings to kind of to finish off. Actually, that one was quite fun. That was a few days ago. Kind of a brain in the jar spider thing. But yeah, we've got a lot of nice ideas, and we'll be back to finish them off and to do more art jams. But for now, I'm going to sign out. So bye bye. Thank you for joining.